Why aren't the opposition able at this stage to mount a more potent offensive?
Well, the opposition hasn't really been able to challenge Abe or the LDP over the last 8 years. They've yet to present a credible policy platform that would appeal to a lot of voters. They don't really have sort of a charismatic leader that would carry them through. So in a way, even though this succession is being planned quite hastily, right? Abe didn't nominate or didn't groom a successor over the past 8 years, which is sort of in hindsight, on paper, a fairly big oversight. But at the same time, the opposition, we think, is just really not able to capitalize on this transition in any way. So our baseline view as well is sort of for the upcoming election next year for the LDP to win, almost regardless of who the successor is. The LDP continues to be wildly popular, far and away ahead of the opposition, and short of a really disastrously mishandled COVID response or economic recovery on the part of the new prime minister, we just don't see them really being able to capitalize on this transition.
Well, given that you foresee then a relatively smooth transition, and that we get continuity of economic policy, even if we don't call it Abenomics any longer. What then do we see in terms of the international context? Does the departure of Abe change the dynamics with regard to President Trump and Xi Jinping?
Well, we saw a few hours ago, President Trump called Prime Minister Abe the best prime minister in the history of Japan. The two men famously got along really well, which shielded Japan to a certain extent, not fully, from trade friction with the US. And at this stage, it's just not entirely clear, let's say, in the event of another Trump presidency, whether, for example, Suga, who is the front runner, would be able to sort of have the same level of rapport. And we know how important that is in sort of managing a relationship with the Trump White House. When it comes to relations with China, obviously, the relations have been improving over the last few years, but they're waxing and waning all the time. And part of it, I think, is going to be a very complex interplay of the state of relations with the US, the state of the trade war, and a sort of broader geopolitical frictions. And this is a very important part. So Abe's successor is going to take up the office of prime minister at a time that is far more geopolitically uncertain than when Abe entered office in 2012. So this is going to be, apart from all of the domestic economic challenges that the new prime minister will face, this will be a considerable question that the new prime minister will need to focus on.